morning, girls. After your first CAA, I'm just meeting you. It was nearly 1 week, and today I'm going to conclude the very last book of Mill on the Floss. See, girls, we have one more unit to complete, and from 12th onwards, from October 12th, that is from next week of Monday, you're going to write your model exams. So, we have to complete the portions. I have one more unit to conclude. So, I'll complete as soon as possible. And girls, for the model exam, I'm not going to give objective type. Definitely no. I'm going to give the essays. You have to write down the essays and you can attach in the Google Classroom. Okay. So, for the model exam, I'm going to conduct the descriptive pattern. This is not new because for the outgone final years, university has conducted in the descriptive pattern. So, for the next exam, that is for the model exam, I am going to conduct examination by the pattern of descriptive. So, 75 marks and full syllabus I am going to give for the model exam. I have two more fiction to complete. Let me see. If I have any pending also, we'll postpone and we'll teach after model exam. Not an issue. We'll start the session today. The last book, The Mill on the Floss, book number 7. So far we have seen 5 books and this is the last book. And you girls know the clear sketch about the fiction, The Mill on the Floss, the final rescue. We have totally 6 chapters. 5. Yes, we have 5 chapters in this book. Chapter number 1. The return to the mill. As you girls know that Mill returned to Tom 5 days after Stephen and Maggie first disappear. They went for the boating and they have escaped. He want to elope with Maggie, but she don't have that much of idea to elope with him. So it was 5 days of their disappear. Tom is back at the Dorlot Mill. Thanks to the news that Bob Jackins, Mahi and Stephen get off a boat together. Bob noticed that Maggie and Stephen get off a boat. He knows that there have been no accident. Very safely they have been come back. He sees Maggie approaching and can tell immediately that she is not married, confirming his worst fears. Maggie told her brother that she's not married and she want to confirm him as well as she want to confirm his worst fear about her. As a sister, she want to state that she has come back safely. Maggie tells him that she has come to him for refuge. Refuge means to stay with him. And to confess everything, she tells her that she will never have a home with him, for she has disgraced her family and deceived or deeply hurt those who cared about her most. Now, it was a very emotional stage. She don't want to stay with her family, and she want to stay with the person whom with whom she can lead her life happily, as well as one who like to care her. He tells her he will support her if she needs it, but he never enter his home. She don't want to enter. Mrs. Tulliver, overhearing this, tells Maggie that she will go with her, not daring to seek shelter with any of her aunts. By hearing the words of Maggie to her brother, here comes the mother of Maggie, and she states that she want to live with Maggie. And she asked Maggie not to go with any of her aunts because her own mother want to stay with her. They go to Bob Jarkin. Bob happily takes him in and tells Maggie that he and his wife named their baby after her. So, girls, finally, Maggie, she don't want to live in the house of Tom. She want to go somewhere where she can live happily, as well as the one who cares her. So she went with Bob Jarkin. Here comes chapter number 2. And Bob Jarkin is very happy to take Maggie because he was the former friend of Tom. And Bob Jarkin states that they have named their baby after her. Second chapter, St. Ox passes judgment. Because Maggie returned to St. Ox unmarried, everyone assumes Stephen chose not to marry her. Everyone thinks that she was eloped with Stephen, but she has come unmarried. And the people of St. Ox states that Stephen is not chosen Maggie to get married. But the real truth is he want to marry her, but she denied. Despite, Stephen writes a letter to his father about the things which was happened recently and the gossip around the streets. Stephen travelled on the Holland from York and thus stayed away from Lucy for the time being. And he's clearly wrote in that letter that he want to away from Lucy. Because of that only he went to Holland. Maggie lives in a state, so both they want to make time together, but it was not such temptation to live together. Maggie goes to see Dr. Keene and tells him everything. He says that he admires her instinct to come back to her roots and that it is very Christian ideal. He fears that condemned her beyond the actual evils of her case. So, it was a very emotional state that no one is ready to believe Maggie because she was absconded with Stephen for 5 days. And now it is a very emotional state. How can she see her cousin Lucy? And there was a gossip around all the streets of St. Ox. Everyone, they know that Stephen elope with Maggie. Maggie says that she can't bear to cut herself off and she thinks her best chance of showing Lucy how sorry she is to stay in Syntax. So Dr. Ken promises to help her and any way she can. Any way he can. So now she don't have any place to stay. Now she can't go and stay with Lucy because Stephen is the lover of Lucy. She needs the help of Dr. Keen to help her finally. Chapter 3. Mrs. Clegg, when Maggie first disappears, is sure she is dead. Mrs. Clegg thought that Maggie might have died. She scorns Tom for doing so easily. But when she has come, no one started to praise her. Everyone started to insult her. Everyone started to insult. They defend Maggie. She tries to talk to Tom about it, but Tom is not ready to hear. But even in the face of Stephen's letter largely absolving Maggie, he is irresolute and only believes the worst in his sister because of a history of indulging whims. Tom is not ready to hear the story of his own sister because everyone believes that she has indulged in the worst. Mrs. Tulliver goes to see Mrs. Clegg, who tells her that Maggie is always welcome under her roof. So now, as a mother of a girl, Mrs. Tulliver, she tries to save her daughter. She went to Mrs. Clegg and she want a proof for her daughter. Maggie is very grateful to hear this. Now she got a place to stay. And Job Jarkin house is not a permanent place for Maggie to stay. But she wants a place to stay very independently. So Dr. Keen sets a place and he's also agree Maggie can stay with Mrs. Clegg. Mrs. Tulliver has also been to see Lucy, who has heard Stephen's letter and seems to be regaining her health. Now, Mrs. Tulliver, she also knows the background of the letter which was written by Stephen and she has regaining her health. Maggie is desperate for news of Philip. What Philip will think about Maggie. But Dr. Ken has not heard anything verifiable about him and her mother can't find out anything. Dr. Ken told that he couldn't see or hear about anything about Philip. Finally, he gets a letter from him in which he tells her he saw what was happening between her and Stephen and he knows that she tried to resist it for Philip's sake as much as she could. She got a letter from Philip that it is very sad to hear that he knows what was the thing going on between her and Stephen, and many times she tries to prove with Philip. Ultimately, he admires her and is better for the chance to have loved her. He admired her and does not want her to feel any pain for his sake. And I don't want to put put you in trouble, and I don't want to compel you to get marry me. So you just live a happy life. Indeed, he always loved her. Indeed, I always love her. This was a letter was written by Philip to Maggie. And in this letter, very clearly, Philip stated that he knows the issue between Maggie and Stephen very clearly. Many times she proved this. This was the end of chapter number 3. Chapter number 4. Maggie and Lucy. See, girls, very emotional state. Very emotional chapter as well as book. Yes, I agree that both Stephen and Maggie are supposed to be in love because they attracted. They really attracted by both features. But Stephen was in a deep idea of getting marry her. So, chapter 4, Dr. Ken tries to find employment for Maggie. How can she lead her life now? Her love went off. Even the love with Stephen also has come with a rumor. Dr. Ken tries to find employment for Maggie. At least she can survive with her life. But all the women of St. Ox are still set against her. But the women of St. Ox, no one is ready to accept Maggie because she was the girl who stayed with the boy for 5 days, has come now unmarried. Finally, it becomes clear that only option is for him to hire her himself as a governess to his children. But see, girls, Dr. Ken, he don't have any. He was failed to settle Maggie because she has come to Dr. Ken to get the help and to settle for the rest of the life. And he fails to see the employment for her because no one is ready to give the job for Maggie. Finally, Dr. Ken, he appointed her for himself as governess to his children. Now she has become the governess to his children, which she gratefully accepts. This leads the town people to speculate on his relationship between the two of them. See, girls, very sad. Once the character of the girl has come down means whatever she does, the people, they speculate about the life of that girl. Speculate means watching keenly. Though she was the governess to the children of Dr. Ken, the people start the next rumor. They started to watch the relationship between Dr. Ken and Maggie. Stephen's sisters, having been dismayed by Stephen's attachment to Maggie, report these rumors to him by mail. Stephen's sisters, they also knows the attachment of Stephen with Maggie. The sisters of Stephen, they finally sent a mail to him about the rumors which were spreading over the town. Maggie wants desperately to see Lucy. She wants to explain everything to Lucy. But knows that she can't go to her house. Who will support her, Ma? Will Lucy support her? No. She can't go to her house and Lucy is not well enough actually. Actually, she is not well. By hearing all the rumors between Stephen and Maggie, really, she was falling sick. Lucy sneaks out one night, however, it come and see Lucy and they embarrass. Lucy tells her that she is going away with Stephen's sister in a few days. Finally, Maggie went to see Lucy. Lucy says that she's not ready to talk with her anymore and she's going with Stephen's sister within a few days. But when she returned and has regained her full strength, she's able to see Maggie whenever she wants to. They embrace tearfully. And she says that, okay, whenever you want to see, you can come and meet me. See, girls, how proud of Lucy. So here ends chapter number 4. And finally, we have come towards the last chapter, the final conflict. As I told you, Dr. Ken appointed Maggie as his own governess for his children. But now even Dr. Ken, he hears the rumors between Dr. Ken and Maggie. So, as a parishioner, he wants to be a moral. And he don't want to give any clue about the doubt. He releases Maggie, he realizes the rumor, and he don't want to keep Maggie with him anymore. As a parish member, as a priest, he wants to be a good moral person. He releases Maggie. And tells her that he thinks he must move to another town. Because he wants to safeguard his position as well as he wants to be a good moral person. She goes home and feeling very, very tries to mentally prepare herself for such a change. She goes back to her house and girls, she was very mentally disturbed. She tries to mentally prepare herself for such a change of her behavior, about the rumors which were spreading over the streets of St. Ox. And it rains constantly, ma. So she is stuck inside. She's stuck inside the house and it was constantly raining. A letter from Stephen arrives. She has, unbeknownst to anyone, written to Mudpot. In that letter, he asked her to come with him because the news reached everyone. So he don't want to leave her and he don't want to bring any ill name. She pleads with Maggie to let him come to her, or else he want to join her. She feels suddenly that her temptation has only just begun, for after 2 months of constant pain, now she realizes that she wants to stay with Stephen. The joy of his love offers feels even more powerful. See, after 2 months of heavy pain, now she really feels the true love of Stephen. She first renounced it, and she is so pained by the despair in his letter. By reading out the letter, she was inspired a lot, and she started to bring out her inner feeling towards Stephen. She comes very close to telling him to come. She told that she want to stay with him, and she asked her to come. But holds out instead, burning his letter and deciding to write him in the morning to say goodbye forever. She want to give a reply for him, and she want him to come to her. But see, she don't want to be as such. She burned the letter which she was received from Stephen, and she want to give a reply by the next letter by stating goodbye forever. Goodbye. But what speaks in her heart? She want to live with Maggie. She want to live with Stephen. Suddenly, she realizes that the house is flooding. She runs upstairs to wake Bob and his family. Finally, she is in the house of Bob. It was a heavy rain. The house was flooded. She runs upstairs to wake Bob and his family, and they get into the boats. Her is swept away, and she knows she must try to make her way to the mill to help her mother and Tom. She realizes the dangerous flood has come. So she get into the boat with Bob and his wife, and she want to help Tom and her mother. They were in the mill house. She finally makes it to the mill, where she finds Thomas alone. Finally, she reached the mill, and she noticed Thomas alone there. Mrs. Tulliver has gone to the pullets, and he climbs into the boat with her. Thomas alone there. She rescue her own brother in the mill house, and Tom told that his mother is not there, their mother is not there. She is with pullets, and Tom get into the boat of Maggie. They rowed towards the town to check on Lucy. They are rowing on the boat. It was heavy rain. It was flooded everywhere. But soon the current brings huge debris towards them. They have no chance to get out of the way. They don't find a chance to get out from the boat, which rises again soon. They started to drown in the water. Without Maggie and Tom in it, they have flooded in the water. They drowned together. Everyone, after 5 years, everyone was safe in the St. Ox. Other than Maggie and Tom, everyone survived the flood. Both Stephen and Philip still visit Maggie's tomb. The two lovers of Maggie still visit her tomb. Stephen eventually marries, but Philip remains solitary. Stephen marries Lucy, but this poor Philip, he remains solitary. He remains alone. So here ends The final book of Mill on the Floss. This was a very, what to say, emotional state. The poor children, both Tom and Maggie, has drowned in the water. They have died. This was the end of the fiction, The Mill on the Floss. Thank you, girls.